24/7, 365. The fantasy season never dies. Welcome to Every Day is Draft Day. Presented by Champions Round.
Every Day is Draft Day is back. I am joined by my co-host, Eagle Dan FF. We bring you the second episode of Every Day is Draft Day for this season, Season 2. How's it going, Dan?
Good. Season 2, Episode 2, one day till football starts. I am excited.
I am so excited. It's tomorrow already. I don't know where the hell this offseason went, but looking forward to it. We have a bunch of questions from you guys. Thanks for sending those in. Before we do that, we found out some news today. Zach Wilson's injury is a little bit more serious than we thought. We thought we might see him a little bit sooner, but they're saying the earliest we will see him is week 4 at Pitt. And I think they use the words very strategically that the earliest we will see him, meaning that this could prolong after that. I'm seeing a lot of hype around the fact that Elijah Moore did very well the single season that Flacco started last year. He had 11 targets, 8 receptions, 141 yards, 1 TD, and was wide receiver 3 on the week. This was against the Dolphins, and once again, the Ravens, I think, are being disrespected. I think that the Ravens' defense is much better than we are. Not we, because I know how good it is. Everyone else, the rest of you people, are a little bit too low on them. Give me how do you feel about Zach Wilson here?
Thank you, Jordan. I appreciate that. I think that a lot of people made it out to be like Zach Wilson was just like a dumpster truck, dumpster fire. You know, he was just awful. And as soon as Joe Flacco got the reins, then apparently everyone on the Jets is now like fantasy worthy again. And I think it's a little bit overblown. I think that Zach Wilson was improving from last year, and I just don't see at this point Joe Flacco being such an upgrade where now you could just shoot up Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson and the Jets offense like up your boards. I just don't think it's that much of a difference. I mean, maybe it's a slight increase, but it's definitely not what everyone is making it out to be, where Elijah Moore is now going to be like this fantasy like sleeper like stud that's going to win weeks. I just don't see that.
Yeah, and it feels more the competition based. So I think that yes, they might get let's give them a boost. You're still against the Ravens secondary, which I think is better than everyone is leading off to. So we'll get into these questions because we have a bunch of them, and I know. Let's see. Thanks, Jordan. Jordan said, also, you guys are awesome. Rocky shows Steffi's rocking the golf game. Thank you. And the betting world. Dan being a tolerable Eagles fan. And you're right, Jordan. He is my tolerable Eagles fan. The rest of you have been intolerable this preseason, but we'll jump into
that's the nicest thing Jordan's ever said about me.
Stop. Okay, we have first question is from @JazzySip12. He says, who should I start in flex 12-team standard? Ramondre Stevenson, George Pickens, Hunter Renfrow, or Nico Collins? Pass it off to you, Dan. Who should they start?
Out of that group, I'm starting Hunter Renfrow. I think just for week 1, he has the best situation, the most guaranteed situation. I think, we don't know how Stevenson's going to be used with Harris. We don't know when George Pickens is going to leapfrog Claypool for the start. And Nico Collins, while starting, I think I'd prefer, having Derek Carr over Mills throwing to you. So really a process of elimination. I feel most comfortable, going into the season with Renfrow in the flex spot.
Yeah, this is where I'm at too. If we're talking about this week, I agree with you. I think Renfrow gives you the safest floor here. It'll be interesting, though, if you're someone that just wants to come out of the gates hot. I might lean Stevenson versus Miami rather than Renfrow versus the Chargers. But Pickens versus the Bengals, listen, Bengals secondary is going to be better than everyone is saying. We don't exactly know what the connection is going to look like, what Canada calling the plays is going to look like. Some of these younger guys probably staying away from this week. I know we have a later question about rookie wide receivers who we would start, but as far as situations like Pickens, need to see how that goes before I'm getting super excited. Also have a really shitty O-line over there. And then Nico versus the Colts. Again, I think that the Colts can come out very hot. Nico was very up and down. We saw him do very well towards the end of the season. So I'm with you. I think Renfrow is the way to go. But you might see that Stevenson ends up scoring a little bit more than him because they don't really have anyone to throw the ball to there.
Right.
And the only thing that they're going to be able to do is run the ball. So I'm with you, though. I think Hunter Renfrow, like we talked about this, I'm a little bit higher on, like Renfrow being I think he can out target Waller potentially. I think that he's still going to be part of that passing game, despite what everyone is saying. I think that Waller, depending on if that injury if it was a little exaggerated to get a contract, but he's like 30 years old. Didn't really live up to us drafting him last year where we did. Now he's still going as tight end 5, finishes like tight end 17. So I think that Renfrow will still have a pretty significant role. Obviously not the role that we thought he would have before Devontae Adams came over there.
Right.
But very interesting.
Still,
Stevenson, I kind of switched too. Like I like Damian first.
Really?
I used to. No, that changed. Like I noticed I need to do next year. We're going to do compare and contrast. Like we're going to put our preseason and then like right before, the week before,
and see what changed. I like that. It's a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're cool with Renfrow still?
What?
Is my internet going out, guys? My tech has been a disaster today. So you've been set on Stevenson though from the beginning.
Yeah, I think that everyone. The whole thing about Patriots running backs and how you never know who's going to start from week to week. But everything that has come out of camp from Bill Belichick himself, Stevenson has proven himself to be, a really good pass catcher for them in camp. And with James White being retired, the only consistent running back in the entire Tom Brady era for New England running backs was James White. He always had that pass catching role locked down. So if that's Stevenson's floor for this version of the team, then that's good enough for me to take him. In addition to whatever running work he'll get alongside Damian Harris. So that's why I just need to see if Belichick is telling the truth about that first. So like in week 2, it's completely entirely different. I could pick Stevenson over Renfrow. It just there's too much unknown now without any games being played. I just need to see what Stevenson's role is first.
Cool. Love it. All right, let's pop into that next one. Friend of the show, Ladarius Brown, Ladarius_Brown on Twitter. Who is a more viable option at QB? Baker Mayfield, Daniel Jones, or neither? I will let you start this one off.
I think it's Baker. I think he's going to have a huge chip on his shoulder, which can be overstated sometimes. That whole like chip on the shoulder narrative. But I think he has a really good team down there with him in Carolina. CMC is healthy for the first time in a while, and I just think. The Browns have a good defense. I think the Giants are playing the Titans. So I think that the Titans are playing, and it's just really about the weaponry. I trust Baker's weaponry more than Daniel Jones's. I think Daniel Jones obviously has a better rushing floor than Baker does. I just need to see it. I just need Daniel Jones to be comfortable with Tony and Robinson and Barkley before I can say. But again, going by what we know without any games being played, I trust Baker's weapons and over what Daniel Jones has right now.
Yeah, and I think the key word here is viable. And again, like I don't know if we're talking week 1, what we're talking about here, but viable is very much to me instantly Baker. I think that Baker holds the best true floor, will probably be a very consistent point amount. I think Carolina is interesting, could end up potentially being better than we all expect. I think that Matt Rule is going to hold them back to some extent, and hopefully injuries, they stay healthy. But I think a lot of us also forget that Baker was struggling with an injury all last season. He only finished 25th overall, but again, that injury was there. So if you like upside, I do think the higher ceiling ends up being Daniel Jones, who finished 27th. He actually was out for a couple of weeks and still was able to maintain that. Not that it's something to brag about, but again, we don't know what this Giants team is going to be. We have no idea we don't even necessarily know, as much as everyone thinks they do, who their wide receiver 1 is. Because that could end up reverting back to being Sterling Shepard, who will actually be playing week 1 after tearing his Achilles 9 months ago. It could be Kadarius Toney, or do we see Kadarius Toney struggle with injuries and isn't Wan'Dale Robinson? So a lot of question marks around the Giants. I think that you start out and, anything that is more viable is the safer option. And the safer option here is Baker Mayfield. Do you think Baker is going to surprise people this year?
I do. I'm a really big fan of Baker this year, honestly. I think, if you skip out on quarterback from the first, the top half of the draft, then you can get him late. I think he's going to surprise some people and then actually be a viable, not even just in fantasy, like in real life football as well. I think he gives Carolina a chance to even win the division if Tampa falters. So, I said it before in one of our hot takes shows last week. I think that Baker can propel Carolina to be in contention for division titles. So I think Baker, I think Baker got a bad rap. I mean, he did take the Browns to the playoffs for the first time in, forever. His weapons are good. He has DJ Moore, Christian, McCaffrey, Robert. So I think that the stigma on Baker has gotten a little too much for him. And I think, he's definitely a viable enough quarterback to where, Carolina can make some noise this season.
Yeah. And I think that Baker is going to end up having the season that everyone hoped Sam Darnold would have over there, but I think he has a higher chance to do that. So I'm excited to see what Baker's able to do. I am rooting for him. I think that he should see success, especially not having the stress of being in the Browns organization anymore. There's something to that. Environment matters. So we'll move on to the next question.
Right, we have a question from the chat.
Oh, cool.
Our first check. If the Ravens fail to get anything done with Lamar Jackson, do you think the Eagles should trade them Jalen Hurts and some firsts in the offseason? They're possibly a QB away and Lamar fits. So what do you think about that, Steph? I'll let you answer that first. Should the Eagles trade for Lamar?
I feel like this person is trying to aggravate Dan a little bit here.
Yes, they are.
You feel like an instigator. I just don't think that's happening. And I think that to think the Ravens are they saying with his contract?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If the
contract is going to get signed. Yeah. So my opinion is a contract will get signed. Right now, Lamar does not have an agent. He represents himself. So he has the ability to say, I want this, I want that. There's no one giving him guidance to try to get money. And he wants guaranteed money. And unfortunately, the Browns decided they were going to go out and give the contract that they did to Deshaun Watson. We saw Kyler Murray get paid. Lamar Jackson is only a couple years removed from being the MVP in 2019. He has had injury problems, so be it. I think that this year, if I'm Lamar, he might even want to do an Aaron Judge type of thing that we were seeing in baseball, is that I would just wait and make them have to pay you. Make it so that they don't have an option. I don't think that the Eagles are. Yeah, I don't know that the Eagles are going. Jalen Hurts is either going to have success. There's two options for the Eagles. Jalen Hurts is going to do very well this year, and he's going to take them to another wild card game and probably, I'm kidding, maybe lose, potentially lose. But I think they're either sticking with him or moving on from him. I don't like how the Eagles can get a little impatient with their quarterbacks. So I think that it's in their best interest to stick with him. They're not giving up a bunch of, I don't that trade just doesn't make sense to me in my eyes.
So in my opinion, I agree. I don't think that you trade Hurts and then, 2 firsts, whatever for Lamar Jackson. I just don't think that Lamar Jackson is that much of an upgrade over Hurts to warrant that kind of draft capital in any kind of trade. I get that he was MVP and everything, but I just think he's a similar, quarterback style to what Hurts already plays. So if you're going to go the route of, moving on from Jalen Hurts in the offseason, I'd rather, take those firsts and some other pieces and go get, a rookie or something. Go get Bryce Young or, Anthony Richardson or something like that. I would do that over going for Lamar Jackson personally.
Yeah. And the nice thing that the Eagles have done, and then I want to answer this next comment that came in from the chat before we continue on, is the Eagles have a beautiful roster. They've done a very nice job. They're not a Swiss cheese type roster that you see across the league all over the place. So unfortunately for Mr. Jalen Hurts, he is easily replaceable if necessary. You have Howie Roseman, who is essentially the mafia leader of trades at this point. This man is a force to be reckoned with. He will stop at nothing to make sure that we do not remember that they drafted Jalen Reagor, and will actually make sure he puts Jalen Reagor on the same exact team. He knows he sucks at drafting wide receivers, so he's going to fleece a team for A.J. Brown. I just don't think they're not in a position to. It's either Jalen Hurts or a new guy. Period.
Yeah, right.
But I think
I just think the new guy's going to be a rookie over Lamar Jackson.
I just took it away. See, we're still learning the comments. This is fun. Okay,
it's fun.
Go ahead. You read this to us.
All right. What's your feeling on the Patriots? Will they be a good team this year, or will they collapse under the weight of Matt walking unmade bed, Patricia being the offensive coordinator? I'll take this one first. I think they're going to be a solid team. I think Bill Belichick always finds a way to keep them in contention. Obviously, I don't think they're going to win a division. I think the Bills have a stranglehold on that for the next couple of years, and I think that it's going to be a lot more tougher sledding than they've had in recent years. I think the Dolphins have gotten better. Obviously, with Tyreek Hill, the Jets made a bunch of moves in this past offseason. So it won't be as easy for the Patriots as it has been in recent years. And I don't know. I just think I need to see what Mac Jones does in his second year. I mean, he was solid, but unspectacular in his first year. So it really, they didn't really have a true number one guy. It's more by committee, just like Bill Belichick. So I think they'll be a solid team. I think they'll miss the playoffs, but I think they won't suck outright, is my opinion. So probably 8-9. They'll be average.
I talked about this the other day. I think that the Patriots, this has been kind of, now that this has happened a ton of years, but it's kind of an off-season tradition now, kind of like how we always hear that Aaron Rodgers is going to a new team. It's kind of an off-season tradition that we talk about the fact that the Patriots are declining. Yet somehow the Patriots never decline. They may not be as good and as big of a powerhouse as they've been in the past, but I think that people need to throw a little bit of respect on Bill Belichick and his name. Also the way that we do, with coaches like Tomlin, where they don't, their records are something that you don't see all the time from a head coach. So the Patriots are going to be an above average team where they find themselves in the conference, and their division is going to put them in a spot. If they were in the NFC, I think that we'd be having a different conversation about the Patriots.
They're a playoff team in the NFC, 100%.
And people forget, Bill was able to just make anyone a wide receiver. There is going to be a way that they're able to make something work. I think that they also still have two tight ends that are fantastic. Hunter Henry quietly put up a fantastic, especially in fantasy, tight end season. You also have Jonnu Smith, who allegedly is supposed to be doing better in camp. I'm not going to fall into that trap again. And then you have running backs. It's like this. It's just what's a good word for it? It's just kind of a downgraded, mild version of what we've kind of seen the Patriots do for a while. So I don't know. It's just not
Patriots
as
light.
fun.
It's Patriots
light.
light.
It's everything. All the pieces are there to be the Patriots that we know. It's just not going to be the Patriots we love. So I'm not as down on them. I think we do this every year. I think, do they see a decline? I don't know that they decline much from last year. I don't know that they get kind of hot the way they did. I haven't looked at their schedule, so I don't know. But I think the Patriots are going to be somewhat similar to what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, they were 10-7 last year.
Not the past. You know what I mean?
The past.
The past. I'm very forward thinking. All right, let's get into one of these mailbags that got sent in, and then we'll jump into the chat again. I will butcher this. So this is at Arcantu, AARCANTU.
That sounds good. I like that.
Okay, I think I did a good job.
You did a good job.
Yes, when I actually was using my degree that was in speech therapy and phonetics and stuff. So I'm using that. See, Mom and Dad?
There we go.
Okay. Need to keep 2 as wide receiver 5 and 6, which this feels like bragging again. We talked about this a lot on our show last year. These are your wide receiver 5 and 6. Okay. So it's Isaiah McKenzie, KJ Osborne, Kadarius Toney, Treylon Burks. It's a full PPR league. Their starting wide receivers right now are Adams, Mike Williams, Brandon Cooks, and Michael Thomas. What are you thinking?
So for me, I'm going to keep Toney for one, because I think Toney is going to be the wide receiver 1 for the Giants this year, because the Giants have had it with Kenny Galladay, and they'll probably if they could cut him, they would.
No, they never had it. First of all, don't say they had it. There was nothing to be had. Okay, go ahead.
Well, they gave him the money, so they had him.
Fair. Okay.
Gettleman had him. Gettleman, how's that? Gettleman had him. Yeah. So Tony will be one for me, and the second one I'd probably go with. It's either McKenzie or Burks. I think McKenzie's obviously in the better offense, but I think Burks may have more opportunity. I think the Titans drafted Burks in the first round to replace AJ Brown, so they're going to give him every opportunity to get that wide receiver 1 role. But McKenzie being the wide receiver 3, I probably lean Burks. Honestly, I think Burks has more upside than McKenzie does. I think that the Titans are going to want to use him in every facet of the game. I think Robert Woods isn't really he's a solid guy, but he's Robert Woods. You know what you're getting from Robert Woods. So I'd lean Burks and Tony, go with the 2 young guys for my wide receiver 5 and 6 out of those guys.
Yeah, I'm pretty with you on this. So when I look at these guys, Isaiah McKenzie and KJ Osborne, part of the reason why I didn't fully understand the hype that they were getting was because they're 2 guys who essentially need someone to be injured in order to have a true fantasy role. Like, they will get you a couple flex points unless someone is injured. So I like the teams that they're on there, but what Kadarius and Treylon Burks have is, first of all, Kadarius essentially has no competition to becoming the wide receiver 1 there. He also has ridiculous upside. I mean, he could easily be this team's wide receiver 1, and his ceiling is out of control. I mean, you look at what he was able to do the 1.5 games that we were able to actually see him last year. I think that Kadarius Toney is a league winner. I feel pretty strongly about that, not because it's my team, but because of the talent that he is. And then I'd probably Treylon Burks. So you might want to do some kind of combination. You might like a Kadarius Toney and Osborne, or I just think Treylon Burks, I'd rather have him, especially if this is a dynasty. I know the reports feel very much like what we saw with Jamar Chase last year, and how he couldn't catch the ball because it was small. Like, that is not, Treylon Burks is going to be just fine in the NFL. Yeah. He's going to be fantastic in the NFL. They just need to find a way to play him right. So Treylon Burks might not be the guy the first couple of weeks that we see a lot of, but I still think Treylon Burks is in a good spot. We said this, a couple shows ago. He has very, very, very high upside because of where he landed. They made that trade and AJ Brown left, and you're essentially replacing him with a guy that has a similar skill set and is just younger. So I think they made the right choice doing that there for them. I think the Titans are accepting that they're in a different bit of a place than they maybe want to admit. Maybe it's like a subconscious acceptance that they're leaning in a direction of not being like as good as they've been.
Mm-hmm. Plus, in the context of the roster he's constructed, he has 4 really solid veteran receivers. So, like the last 2 spots, I want to go at the highest upside possible, and it's definitely out of those players, Tony and Burks for him specifically.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, next one, and then or do you want to do one from the?
Let's do one from the
chat. Okay, cool.
You pick.
There's a couple there. All right, let's see what we got here. Another question. Oh gosh, that's a loaded one with the.
Do that one. Do the loaded one.
Which one? This one?
Okay, we can do that one.
I don't even know. That's a loaded question, though.
Yeah.
What do you think? It depends on your league, because some guys, it's like. The first one that comes to mind is like maybe Noah Fant, because I think that you might see a lot of like check down city over there, and he's been on a lot of I noticed him there, especially for people that didn't take a tight end. So he's one of the first ones that come to mind. Sterling Shepard's another one. Like if he ends up having that connection that we saw, for years that Dale Jones and him have been together, he was someone that was slipping way out. Can you think of anyone else?
I like Marcus Mariota.
That's a good one. Yeah.
I think if you didn't grab a quarterback early and you're playing like quarterback roulette, I think Mariota plays really well against New Orleans, and you can pick him up for week 2, and he has that rushing upside that everyone values in quarterbacks in fantasy. So I think that'd be a good a sleeper type guy.
All right. We'll do one more from here because I read the rest of it. So another question, who is the worst running back in the NFC and why is it Saquon Barkley? That is a extremely bold statement there. Follow up, the Giants O-line has never been impressive. Do you think that will be a focus this year? One, I'll start this off because you have now tugged with my heartstrings.
Speaking of someone trying to pick fights.
Don't disrespect Giants O-lines of past. As of late, I don't know if you're showing your age, but as of late, yes, the Giants O-line has been nothing impressive, but we're not going to knock the history that is behind us here. I think that the Giants O-line, like there's no reason that they can't be middle of the barrel type team. I think in my power rankings, I had them like 24, 25, and I think that they could be a top 20, that's not saying a lot, right? We're not, the percentage there is not impressive. It doesn't mean that they're going to be extremely good, but Saquon Barkley is not the worst running back in the NFC. That's ridiculous. No. I think that he's gotten hurt, and that's recency bias. I don't, first of all, talent alone, and then NFC. I mean, we could start listing off running backs that are worse than him.
Yeah. So for this question, I actually, I feel the opposite. I think Saquon is the best running back in the NFC. Right. Wait, in the NFC or the NFC East? Or in the NFC? No.
Yeah.
No. In the NFC, he's not even close. He's probably like the third best running back in the NFC right now.
Yeah. I hope he shuts everyone up. Oh my God, I'm going to be insufferable.
But like I would put even like Miles Sanders under him. I'd put Antonio Gibson. His own team doesn't even under him. There are so many running backs in the NFC that are just terrible. That Saquon shouldn't be anywhere close to the worst anything for the NFC. I just think that that's a little much. And as for the O-line, and this is, like you said, going back to the past, like haunting the Giants a little bit. I just think that, the Giants have made a really concerted effort to improve their O-line. They drafted Evan Neal. They signed a new center, a new guard. So it's definitely a point of emphasis for the new GM to make sure that Daniel Jones is protected and Saquon Barkley has good running room. So I just think that it has been a focus, honestly, this past offseason. I think that the Giants front office has proven that improving the O-line has been a focus for them. I think it's going to continue to be a focus because that's just the type of team that they want to build. So I don't think it's a bad O-line at all. I think getting Evan Neal was a steal in the draft. He was, pretty much the consensus number one O-lineman by a bunch of people going into the draft. So I think they're really doing as much as they can with, the cap issues that they have that they're going to have to clear up in the next few years to really, improve the pieces around Daniel Jones and the offensive skill players.
Yeah, and Gettleman is a criminal. I don't know how many times I have to tweet it. He is a criminal. Every day I'm going to tweet at the FBI that they make sure that he is taken into custody because he is a criminal. Just disgusting where he left this team. They do not have a lot of money. They did their best, and I think that Shane and Dable, they're trying to prepare for the future, which is fantastic. It's the best they can do. Luckily, they do have a very, fourth youngest team in the league right now. So they're in the best spot that they can be for what they were left with. We'll stay on running backs. We have another question from _J Crispin. He said, is Dobbins worth starting over Stevenson this week? You guys all love Stevenson.
No.
What do you think?
No, he's not. He might not even play. Yeah. I mean, they just cleared him maybe for playing this week. They're not going to give him enough carries to warrant starting out of the gate. They signed Kenyan Drake for exactly this reason, so they wouldn't have to do this. And I just think that even if we don't, we said before, we don't exactly know what Stevenson's role is going to be. I just think it's going to be a more substantial role than what we can expect from Dobbins this week. So I feel really comfortable saying that I would not start Dobbins over Stevenson at all.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think if this question was coming to me a little bit later in the season, I would feel pretty strongly like the other way. But I think that if you're a team like the Ravens, I think that that there is a good chance that you could be extremely, extremely, extremely successful. There is no reason to rush someone like Dobbins back. For that, I think that Stevenson is the way that I'm going to go, especially just given the way that roster lays out. We'll get into the second to last from these. Maybe jump in one more chat question and then get out of here. But from Ian Mac Betts on Twitter. This is Ian McMullen. Fantastic. Love you, Ian. Which rookie wide receiver is the best option to start week 1? Let's hear it, Dan. I hope we have at least one of the same.
So this might not be the answer that everyone is expecting, but it's Romeo Doubs. Romeo Doubs is the answer to this question. Romeo Doubs is the answer to this question.
Okay.
Allen Lazard is maybe, not playing now. He has some injury questions I just read. So if Allen Lazard doesn't start, and even if he does, honestly, I think Doubs has just proven, throughout this training camp and preseason that he has earned the trust of Aaron Rodgers, which is like everyone's like, oh my God, Aaron Rodgers doesn't trust rookies. Like this is the worst. I just think that with that and the matchup that they have, I just think that Doubs is probably not the most popular answer. I think, you take like Drake London probably is a more popular answer. I just think that Doubs is going to, surprise a lot of people and have the best week this week.
So I raise you one here.
All right.
This is interesting. Okay. I have two, I think there's definitely a case for him. I actually low-key forgot about Lazard and whatever's going on over there. Maybe Rodgers just bullying him because he doesn't want him to play. Tolbert is also an interesting option, but again, like Bucks D is still going to be Bucks D. Yep. Listen to me here, okay?
I'm listening.
Chris Olave, hear me out, okay?
Okay.
Playing Atlanta,
mm-hmm.
Their secondary could potentially be solid. I think that's. Yeah. I don't know how strongly I feel about the word solid there, but AJ Terrell was pretty good last year. They added a vet. Richie Grant is going to have to play well in order for this word solid to actually hold true. But they have a really shitty front seven to the point where it's comical. I apologize to Falcons fans, but it's a disaster. I'm embarrassed. And they didn't really add any help to fix that. So I think that Olave's in a good spot with Michael Thomas still being teetering on, is he playing? Is he not playing? Is he hurt? Is he not hurt? Is he talking trash on Twitter so that people think he's like, I don't know what's going on over there. I think Olave could be like a sneaky good option. But again, are you playing with risk there? Other option is, it'll be interesting if Alec Pierce sees a lot this week. He's, I think, or at least should be, the clear wide receiver 2 over there. The only team with a worse D than the Falcons is probably the Texans. And that might not hold true through the season, but if you're going to set power rankings right before, that might be where I put them as bottom 3 at least. Nothing scary is fucking going on over there with the Texans defense. Nope. Finished second to last in yards per game, rushing yards as well. They upgraded the secondary in the draft and free agency, but in a very young way. So they're not in a position to be a huge dominating force. So maybe they use Alec Pierce to, get his feet wet and he ends up doing well. But I'm always very cautious with what I do with rookies week 1. It's not really my vibe to put them in immediately. I want to get at least a feel for what's going on. Right. So I think you're throwing a dart here in what rookie ends up having the best week.
I do like the Alec Pierce thing. I actually took him in the final round of my my home league draft. So I think he could be someone that surprises as well. He's going to get. It's really about what rookie is going to get the most opportunity in week 1. So you're looking at guys that are the number 2 guys, or even Drake London, who's the number 1. Those are the guys you want to go with for week 1 until we get a clear indication of how they're going to be used throughout the year. It's all, it's just, you really want to just stack the deck and just probability wise give yourself the best shot of picking the right guy. Especially
if they're playing a shitty team. Yeah. They might be in a really good spot to get a lot of attention that game. So I like those. Again, I have to start Alec Pierce in one of my leagues. That was my choice. I forget who my other options were and who I'm starting him over. Would be interesting to pull that up. But I think that I just tread lightly with rookies right out of the gate, right? We've seen this happen a million times where it doesn't end up going the way that you expect. Unless
it's Dameon Pierce.
Unless Dameon Pierce, then we all know. Once again, you guys are you're welcome. We are the reason why you guys have him on your team. So I am starting, just for reference. So this team, I orphaned a keeper team.
Mm-hmm.
I did not realize before I said yes, the person before me, the lovely owner before me, basically gave away like every pick, and I essentially only drafted from the 8th round and down. But so I am going to start Alec Pierce in a flex. The guys that are on my bench right now, wide receiver wise, are Osborne, Palmer. I mean, those are my only wide receivers on the bench.
Yeah.
There's a couple of running backs, but Zamir White, Isaiah, those are not guys. Again, I'm going to Alec Pierce. I think has a clear defined role here, playing a shitty team, kind of easy peasy there. Let's get to the last questions. This came in from Jared_Skurs. Opinions on Cam Akers, his injury status, and realistic expectations.
I am completely out on Cam Akers as a player. I think that where he's going in drafts is
bye.
I think where he's going in drafts is too high. He didn't look good last year. Henderson is still there. He's gonna take some work, and I just think with where you need to take him, there's going to be so many other good options that I just don't want him. To be honest, I don't want him. I think he's not going to have a good year. I think that he's much more of a name than what he's actually going to be giving you as a player this year.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I don't know how I feel, honestly. Cam Akers is like... So the reason why you like Cam Akers is, one, because you're in love with potentially the idea of him. He is, in quotations, a threat in the running and passing game, but you have Henderson there, who I think is more of a reliable, and this term is dying off, so we won't say it, but he's like the more reliable workhorse type of player than what you're getting out of Akers. Akers has been with the Rams 2 years. He's played like 14 games for them and started 5. So where he is getting drafted seems a little ridiculous for me. Could he totally shut me up? That's fine. I don't have a lot of Akers this year. Not really where I'm willing to risk the biscuit. I think while Stafford is still having pain and whatever is going on, we might see him be that guy where the first couple of weeks we see a nice set of points out of him, but he ends up like teetering completely off. So that's how I feel about Akers. I don't feel strongly. I'm really interested to see the Rams offense. I'm excited to see what they look like. I love that everyone is so gung-ho with the Bills, but I think that everyone is starting to jinx them, and the hype is getting a little bit too loud for a team that had a really shitty schedule last year.
It's not loud enough.
It is too loud. A little loud. Simmer down.
That is never going to happen.
Okay, fine.
The Bills are going undefeated, 20-0, winning the Super Bowl. That's where we're at.
You guys heard it here first. Oh my Lord. And on that note, we are ending this show. What? You think? What do you think they're realistic? You think they are winning the Super Bowl this year, no matter what?
I think they'll get there and then lose to the Eagles, obviously. So.
Okay.
But no, I think
definitely
they'll win. No, I think they'll win. I think that I think they have a chip on their shoulder again. I hate that term, but I think that the way they lost last year, where they just got like ruled out of the playoffs pretty much, they didn't get a chance to score in there. But I just think that their offense and everything is too good not to get back there. All the other contenders, I guess, took a little step back. Kansas City took a little step back. Cincinnati is still good. I just think that with the AFC is really tough. I just think that they're the best of that crop of teams right now. So just projecting out, I think they do make the Super Bowl at least. But yeah, I don't think they go 20-0 though. I think that was just me being ridiculous.
20-0. They're gonna add extra weeks to this season so that they can go. No. So yeah, we'll end it here. I don't have any other comments. Eagles are also, people really like the Eagles to go to the Super Bowl. What do you think will stop the Eagles before? Let's do that as the last note here.
What do I think will stop the Eagles
from going to the Super Bowl? Yeah.
Jonathan Gannon. I think the defensive coordinator doesn't do his job, then we won't go to the Super Bowl. But I'm of the personal opinion that if he doesn't do his job, he gets fired by like week 6, and we bring in someone else to do his job for him, because we just have too much talent on that side of the ball to, be as bad as we were last year. So I think that is, and obviously Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is the obvious answer. If Jalen Hurts doesn't, ball out like
quarterback is always the answer.
Yeah, quarterback. That's just like a layup. That's a boring answer. Everyone knows the entire season rests on what Jalen Hurts does. But I think, how the defense plays is also a really important key to how the Eagles season is going to go. And that's something that I don't think a lot of people talk about besides talking about Jalen Hurts all the time.
Gardner Minshew is still on the Eagles, right? I didn't miss any names.
He is. Gardner Minshew is the backup.
Okay. The only way that I am okay with the Eagles going to the Super Bowl is if Gardner Minshew takes them there. I do not care. I will be all right with it. That is the situation that I'm okay as a New York Giants fan. I am okay with the Eagles going to the Super Bowl and winning only under the circumstance that Gardner Minshew takes them there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's it. That's all I got. All right.
We just have you on tape saying you're okay with the Eagles going to the Super Bowl, so that's really all that matters.
Shut up. I'm kidding. I'm not okay with that. Okay, tell everyone where they know where to find you. I don't need to tell everyone. Eagle Dan FF. What do you have coming up? Any articles? What's the deal?
No articles. We do have hot takes and pancakes coming up actually right after this show.
Yeah.
So tune in for that. We have our awesome app with all these amazing games. So please go and check that out. Am I missing anything else?
You can use the code DailyDozen, get $10 on your first deposit. Also gives you $12 free entry there. Go download the app, play against us. I cannot wait for Daily Dozen to start up for the NFL season. And
that's because it's not baseball anymore.
I know I'm so happy. My heart is so full. It's why I can tolerate my days more. It's why I'm breaking out because I'm so stressed out over football. But we will be back. Every day is draft day. Hopefully, it will be moving forward twice a week. It's been a crazy week, but I think mailbag is the way to go at least once a week because this was a blast. Thanks, everyone that tuned in. If you are still watching, go
Thanks for the
follow,
questions.
like button, and comment on there who you think is going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Let us know.
We'll catch you on the flip side. Once
See ya.
I can outro. See ya.